everybody. It's Nicole Bonner with Thriving in Chiropractic. And of course, I'm here with my good friend and now colleague, Dr. Colton O'Brien.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy to be here today.
Bud, do you realize it's been a year now, I think, since you graduated?
Yeah, well, I was looking on my Facebook, and it popped up that it was a year since we did our first podcast, which is crazy. So that was just like a moment that I had to sit back and reflect on. So, man, time flies. It's special, especially when we could do what we're doing as chiropractors. Man, it just, yeah, every day is a blessing. But we have an awesome show for you guys planned today. So we have a guest on for the first time on our podcast. So get excited. He's not with us yet. He'll be on in about 5 minutes, but just to let you know, he is someone who has really inspired me. So we'll introduce him as he comes on. His name's Dr. Maurice. But in the meantime, we'll just kind of chat until we have him on.
Yeah, so well, it's really interesting that you brought up that the first podcast came up in your feed, because the first podcast, it came up in my feed the other day too. It was the other day, right?
I was rocking and rolling. I was busy. I saw it and I was like, I want to sit and watch this, just like to see like the maturation and see the growth within a year and just mindset shift. But I was in practice, so I was like, okay, I'll do this later. And then, if I don't write it down, sometimes it might not get done. So I didn't check up on it, but I will as they continue to pop up, because they'll be coming every week now, I guess.
So I'm curious, did the year go by fast for you, Colton, or was it slow moving, or was it like a blink of an eye?
A little bit of both, depending on like the time of year. So this time last year, I actually wasn't graduating. I was starting my last trimester. So I was going into my internship, and it was different than anything I'd done in school. And I learned so much, and I'm so grateful for that experience, because I really matured as a chiropractor and just got to see what's possible in a practice, because the practice I was in was doing like 600 a week, which was really cool. But it was exhausting and it required a lot. And so that felt like it took a long time. Plus I was anticipating graduation and the wedding. So when you're anticipating, things seem to take longer, and then I graduated, waited to get the doors open to the office, which was in March. And so those 3 months took a while. But since we opened the doors to the practice, I'm just like, feel like life is flying by, really. I used to live my life in like trimesters or semesters, and now it's more like quarters and years and stuff like that. So it's pretty fun just to see how like mindset shifts around that, and just, yeah. So to answer your question, fast and slow. So, but it's been a great year and I'm super blessed. How about you? How's your year been?
My year has been fast. My year's been fast, man. We launched Thrive like about a year ago, and like a lot has happened in a year. Like Thrive has grown, which is awesome. My lead doctor here in the practice has grown. And then my lead doctor here in the practice, she just had a baby. So her family is growing. So it's like everything has been growing and just blossoming in my world this past year. So it's moving really fast for me.
Really cool. And your kids are growing up. Practice is another year.
Oh, shoot.
Remind the listeners how many years you've been in practice now?
Let's see. I graduated in 2000. So it's officially 23 years.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I have some listeners that are 23, 24 years old, just kind of fresh into chiropractic school, which is really cool. So,
oh, that means they were born when I was getting out of school.
Crazy. So as you're listening, we had a lot of experience on not from my side, but from Dr. Nicole's side. So kind of glean off what she says. I know I have, and it's paid dividend in my life, and I'm super grateful for the lessons that you've taught me and are continuing to teach me. So, yeah, your expertise is awesome.
Thanks, Colin. I appreciate that. You know what it is? It's just kind of like a no-brainer. Like after 23 years, you just see and you go through so many things that it's just kind of like, all right, you know what? I've been through this. Let me just build the bridge for others. So you don't have to like walk through the swamp like I did.
Yeah. So whenever you're getting started, kind of in your first few years of practice, did you ever have any feeling of like imposter syndrome or anything like, oh man, I don't know if like I'm here, but I don't, I still see myself as like young Nicole, not necessarily Dr. Nicole yet. Was that a thing for you?
Totally. Totally. Yeah. It's so funny that you asked me that because like you're the second person in like 2 days that asked me that. And somebody else was like kind of feeling that way. And absolutely, I remember when I was like probably your age, I used to pray for gray hair. How bad is that?
Yeah,
And now I spend
good to see you.
yeah, and now I spend like literally thousands of dollars a year to cover it all up. Like no gray hair.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm not gonna be mad about the gray hair when it comes, kind of a little salt and pepper in my hair. So, but I always buzz it, so it's hard to tell anyway.
Yeah, but you guys look good with gray, a little bit of gray hair. So,
Yeah.
Colton, the other thing that really has grown, and I think this is gonna be good because Dr. Maurice is gonna hop on here in just a few seconds. But the other thing that's grown in the past year is our podcast, and
Absolutely.
it's transitioning. So I don't know if our audience really knows yet, like how we're transitioning, but in this upcoming year, Colt and I are going to be bringing you guys some awesome guests that are doing really amazing things in practice, and just people that we can learn from, and people that we can glean from, people that we can get ideas from, and people that we can just learn from, so we can just take things home back to our practices and implement those things. And so that's what this podcast with Dr. Maurice is going to be today. It's going to be our first podcast, Colton, that we have a guest, right?
I think so. This
Maurice
is
is our
this is our first podcast with a guest. That's cool.
Yeah. So even our podcast is growing.
That's right. That's right. I was looking through our Spotify library, and we have quite a few up there now. So if we have any listeners on right now, go ahead and scroll back through, see the early days. I share a lot of my story on what it was like fresh out of school to open a practice, and kind of the ups and downs, the positives, the negatives, the challenges, the wins. So um, I think there's a lot of insight there, not from necessarily what I do right, but learning from what I do wrong, and learning how to, just take it day by day in stride.
Yeah, and I would say if you guys are listening out there and if you guys have a story, contact us. We would love to have you on our podcast, right? Right, Colin? Is that fair to say?
We'll talk. I mean, man, the coolest thing about life is we all have our own story, and we all experience life in a different way. So, man, there's so much to learn from hearing y'all's stories. And so we just want this to be a place where people can come on and share what life is like through their eyes, and the lessons that they've learned through chiropractic, and just how they apply that to practice and life as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's awesome. I can't wait for Dr. Maurice to come because he's well, let's you were telling me you graduated with Maurice, right?
Yes, I did.
I don't want to spoil too much, so shut me up if I spoil too much. Because
Yeah.
I don't know him, so he'll be new to me.
This will be a good introduction.
Yeah, he'll be new to me, and he graduated in December. You guys graduated in December last year, right?
Right. That's right.
Nice. And he's killing it in practice. So I can't wait to hear like his secrets.
Yeah, he's killing it in practice. We talk. We're both busy, but we talk here and there, and he'll call me, and he'll just kind of share some of his experiences in practice, some of the things that he's learned. And I'm like, okay, we gotta have this guy on the podcast, because to be so young and to be so new into this profession and just doing what he's doing, one, it really just inspires me, but it really should inspire everybody, because where he's at right now is where I have my goals to be in like 6 months. So he's doing great, and I'll let him tell you more about that as he hops on. He just texted me and said his last patient just left the office, so he'll
Cool.
be he'll be on in no time.
That's cool. Well, that's a good problem to have is when you run over with patients, right?
Right? So you can't fault the man for that. He's out there giving, loving, and serving like he does best. So really cool.
Colton, while we're waiting for him to hop on, from your lens, from your perspective, what do you think? And his answer is probably going to be different. I'm sure it will be different to my question. But from your lens, what do you think was like the one thing about Maurice that made him so successful so quickly?
Oh man, just a willingness to be uncomfortable like the whole way through school. I watched him get up at every opportunity to speak in front of students that he could. He went to every seminar that he could, and just he really worked himself to the bone. But it was for a good cause. Like his mindset was always like, this chiropractic school is not the goal. The goal, he was seeing what he's doing now, like in chiropractic school in his mind, like it
Yeah.
wasn't just getting that diploma, it's getting out there and being able to serve. So he came into school with that intention, which is cool. And you could tell, I mean, he led multiple clubs on campus, and yeah, it just was a light for our student body.
Was he one of your fraternity brothers or?
He was not, but he was a really close friend in school.
Okay. Did I meet him when I came down to speak?
I don't believe so. I don't think he was
Okay.
there, but that was awesome. That was really cool. You need to get back to Dallas and speak to our students again.
Totally. I would love to do that. Set it up. I'll go down. Oh, here he is. Okay.
We're talking on,
Yeah, I wish I had a drum roll.
drum roll. Awesome, everybody. Yeah, so we have Dr. Maurice here. He just joined us. Welcome, Maurice. How you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going? How's it going?
Doing good. Welcome to Thriving in Chiropractic with me, Colton, and then Dr. Nicole as well.
Thank you.
Hey,
I'm
Maurice.
honored. Hey, how's it going, Nicole?
It's going good.
What I'd like to do really quick, so we can just jump in and hear your story, is just give you a brief introduction, if that's all right.
Okay.
Cool. So reading this right off Dr. Maurice's website. So Dr. Maurice was born in Dallas, Texas, raised in Mansfield. After his parents moved from Nigeria to the States for better opportunities, Dr. Maurice spent most of his life playing football, studied at the University of Texas Arlington in applied kinesiology with clinical application. From there, he went to Parker, all three of our alma mater, to receive his master's degree in neuroscience and his doctorate in chiropractic. Dr. Maurice specializes in a specific and distinct technique called hand alchemy, where he helps in correcting many odd and unfamiliar diagnoses within the scope of chiropractic. Dr. Maurice's mission in life is to serve as many people as possible with the healing art of chiropractic. From Haiti, Dominican Republic, and Jamaica, Dr. Maurice has traveled around the world in many mission trips to master his technique and help local communities. He loves to serve, having accumulated over 10,000 adjustments in several years of mission work. Welcome, Dr. Maurice.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
And before we jump in, I also want to kind of give my personal testimony about Dr. Maurice in my life. So, man, I think it was day one of chiropractic school for me. I was studying in a back room with one of our friends, Grant, and I didn't know Maurice at the time, and he came and shook our hands like we'd known each other for years, and was like, "Hey, y'all come grab some food with me real quick." And we went to go get food, and he just, from the moment I met him, started preaching the power of chiropractic and the possibilities of chiropractic. But he told us, "Hey, you're gonna have to work. You're try ones. You're just starting out, but this is not going to be an easy road, and you got to start training as if you're already there." So from the moment I stepped into chiropractic school, Maurice really showed me what was possible and what can happen if I put my head down and work. So I owe so much of my success just as a person and as a chiropractor to you, Dr. Maurice. So I just want to say thank you, and we're excited to hear your story today.
Yeah, love, brother. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Cool. Bring us up to speed. Where are you right now? How's practice going? Things like that.
Okay, awesome. So first off, thank you guys again for creating this space, this podcast. I feel like this is more necessary than you guys may even know. I know that you guys put together to preach your passion and also push the message of this beautiful profession that we all work in. But the way that you guys are on this podcast pushing this message, it goes out amplitudes way further than Texas and Oklahoma. It pushes out, and people, they tune into this, and it changes their life just from being able to get the opportunity to just listen to passionate people talk about what they're passionate about. So thank you for having me on here. Thank you, Nicole. I've never really got to meet you, but it's good to see your face on here today and be able to share this space with you. So I'm in Mansfield, Texas, just graduated December 2022, by God's glory, because school was, like you guys all know, is you have to be very committed to it. And it can take you left and right, and there's all types of hurdles that you have to do that you may never have done in your life before. And for me, taking 30 hours in 15 weeks was just insane, but it changes you. And that's the good thing about the human body, is that it's adaptable. We're made to adapt. And whenever you stop adapting, that's whenever you die. And so what I learned from Parker, and what I'm most grateful for, is the stressors that it put me under to be able to adapt and become a better vessel for the people that I'm serving today. Because what I realize now, this is now, I opened in February, was the grand opening. And so I guess it's like 6 or 7 months that I've been in practice now. And what I realize is that as you're adjusting patients, several patients a day, several patients in the hour, that they also go through stresses in their life. And whenever they come into you, if you believe it or not, there's an energy that they emit, and that energy is of their stressors of that day, or that stressors of that month, or whatever it may be, is being emitted out to you because you chose to be the sacred mirror, and you chose to be open for them to be able to receive healing through your space, And so those same stressors, even though it may not be physical, you're not physically getting hit with anything, it's still putting a toll on the body, and your body has to adapt to that. And then on top of that, you're adjusting, which is moving energy. The technique that I use, like Colton was saying, is called hand alchemy, where we move chi. We use a certain style from ancient Chinese medicine through medical qigong. And so what we do is we move energy through the body, because a subluxation, there's like a million different definitions of it. But the best way that I've seen it is that there is a misalignment in the spine that could be caused from physical trauma, mental trauma, or toxins. But all that accumulated traps energy in the body. So what you do is, whenever we palpate and we're scanning, you can find the physical things that are out of alignment, and you can adjust that. But then there's also energetic entrapment, which you can tell from tone. You feeling like, hey, something's here in this spot. It can be more intuitively thought of, but it can also have a physical property as well. So through that, you move your hands, you move your chi that you've stored in your body through them, not into them, but through them. And that allows their body to process that movement, because so the human body, what we're doing as chiropractors, we're increasing their awareness to what they feel. Because when you increase awareness, then you can heal. And so a lot of times, one of my great mentors and teachers taught me is that a lot of people battle with the identity. Okay, so they are trying to figure out, okay, I am Maurice the chiropractor. I am, Maurice the brother, Maurice the father, whatever it may be, right? And that's an identity that you consciously, subconsciously, you're trying to uphold that identity. But where the truth is, and where in the silence is in the actual consciousness, the awareness of what's looking out of your eyeballs. That's and so in that moment, once you become the sacred mirror and you are in that silence and that quiet, whenever you are adjusting somebody, you're helping bring that out in them. So then there's no time, doesn't really exist whenever it comes to the healing. The healing happens, it can be miraculous, where it's like in a split moment. There's a lot of miracles that we have in this clinic that we shared on our Instagram, because we know how this profession is a lot. We're thankful that a lot of people are starting to turn to us first, but most of the time people come to us last, after they've already been through every type of surgery, every type of procedure, then they come to us. But we're grateful that people are starting to turn to us first through, word of mouth and just chiropractic growing at all as a whole profession. But typically don't, and people view us as, just low back pain, But if we look into the past of where chiropractic came from, you look at, D.D. Palmer, you look at B.J. Palmer and what they were actually doing. The very first chiropractic clinic was in an insane asylum.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you tell me if that's about low back pain. Or all these chiropractors like Herbert Reaver went to jail 66 times. I know Colton's really big on the book, so I don't know if you read that one, but he went to jail 66 times for chiropractic, and I've never been to jail once, but if they're really treating low back pain, are they going to jail 66 times just to treat low back pain? I don't believe it. I don't believe
Probably
it. Yeah.
not. Probably not.
And so this is a gift, that we have been given, that has been passed on to us to be able to lay hands on people and they get better. And so I learned, so now being in 7 months into practice, I have been seeing how stress can really bring somebody down, because it's not only putting the impact on their body, but it's also putting the impact on their mind. And then that impacts their soul. And whenever their soul is starting to diminish and starting to lose its vibrant energy, cancer comes in, GI disease comes in, mental disorders come in, anxiety comes in, because their spiritual powers getting diminished. On top of that, you walk out to walk outside and you open your door, and then there's 5G that's getting beamed at your kid's school. Then there's processed foods that they're pushing out. They say it's healthy for you, but you read the back of it, has more ingredients than you can count. So then now you're combating that, and so you have all these things that you're fighting against. On top of that, they're coming into you, and it's not their fault, it's just what is going on, in the world, and then they're doing what they feel is best. So all those stressors come in, and they come to you and they tell you, I have low back pain. And that's all they can really say to describe the tension and the stress that they're going under. But as chiropractors, we know that there's more underlying than just a low back pain. So then, what we do in this office is we x-ray them, we see where they're feeling that out. And then, we ask them questions, and through the adjustments, through the times that we see them, it starts to unravel, that actually they also are infertile, and so then you realize that the low back pain is just a secondary thing that's coming from the main issue, where they're not able to really produce kids. And we've had miracles on that aspect too, where we've had like 3 or 4 moms since we opened be able to, conceive, and, now they're seeing us now as they're pregnant. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing to be able to, like I told, like lay hands on people. And that's all we're doing, is we're laying hands and we're increasing their awareness and removing the subluxation from the body. And and I think about it, and I remember talking to Colton about this a lot too, is like I couldn't imagine doing any other profession. It's like that you get to sit and lay hands on people until you die. That's your job, and so that's just a beautiful thing. And I don't know, I kind of like talk all over the place, but I don't know if there's anything in particular that y'all, any questions or anything.
It's good, man. That was beautiful.
That was awesome.
You can tell, you see why Dr. Maurice gets the results that he does, and why he's doing as well as he is because he's passionate about this. And so this is exactly what we're trying to portray to our listeners, man. Just an opportunity for you to share what you just shared. But Dr. Nicole, do you have any questions to kind of get to know Dr. Maurice a little better?
Yeah, Maurice, first of all, where did your love and passion for chiropractic come from? Like, where did it originate?
So, oh man, I feel like that's like so many answers in one. So for me, it was like a gradual increase, because I didn't have any family members that was into chiropractic. I didn't have like someone that I looked up to that was doing chiropractic, and like told me to go and join school. It was more of like God, pushed me into that direction without me even knowing it. And I thank God every day when I walk into my office. It's because without him, I just don't even know, because I literally was not ever thinking about chiropractic. And then he just aligned those steps for me. But when like my heart really opened for chiropractic is when I went on my first mission trip in Haiti. And I was able to see chiropractic at like a true level of impact, not only on individuals, but a community. And that changed my life forever. Because when in try one, I really just knew chiropractic very vaguely, and I was really focused on education in school and trying to pass my classes, because in undergrad, I didn't apply myself as much. So I was like on academic probation, and it was just like I was struggle busing school. And so then when I came to Parker, I was like, all right, look, I gotta like actually try, because this is money, investment, time. But I didn't really know anything about chiropractic. I didn't know the power of the adjustment or anything. And so all through try one, I just focused on school, did well. And then in try two, I bumped into my mentor, Dr. Bynum, David Bynum. He's up in Addison. And so he poured into me the power of chiropractic. And so that made me change my mentality on how to approach it. I was thinking of it in a different way. And then I realized that the body can heal through the adjustment. So then I focused more on the adjustment. Went to Haiti that next trimester, and whenever I saw that the kids that had nothing at all in my sense looking, they had nothing at all, right? And just seeing that from them getting adjusted, the smiles that were on their face, the way that they were able to like play and have fun with each other, and with minimal things, it was just like, oh my gosh, the amount of like gratitude I felt for what I have, and the amount of gratitude I felt for being in the presence of people who are naturally full of abundance, and it's not monetarily, and so that was a whole shift in my mind and my heart. And then I remember in a moment where this was pre-COVID, so it was insane amount of people that we were adjusting. It was like, I know that mission trip in 5 days, I just hit over 1,500 people, because it was just so many people coming to get adjusted, and they knew about chiropractic. They loved chiropractic. And that was like my first time ever seeing that many people. But I remember one time when we were in the villages of Wanamen in Haiti, and we adjusted, I was adjusting this woman. She brought out her baby through a window. She was just like, take my baby. She just like put the baby through the window. She's like, they call us touch healers in Haiti. And so they're like, take my baby. And I'm like, all right. So I'm like adjusting the baby. And then she comes out, and I'm like, oh, okay. And she was pregnant with her. She had another kid or on the way. And so I adjusted her, did some Webster, took care of mama. And after that, the next family member came out, the grandma came out. And so a whole family started to come out. And then when she left, she went and grabbed her neighbor. So then her neighbor came out and brought her kids. And so at this point, you can see the impact of direct referrals, like direct impact of you helping somebody, and they instantly tell somebody else. And to the whole point where like the whole community was coming out, and they were all surrounding us, all outside of there. And you could just see you could feel it. It was like a vibration of everybody's happier. Everybody could feel the difference of chiropractic. Everybody was laughing. Children were playing. It was like from the instant of it being just dirt, roads, and one person and a baby, and the energy very like dull to like vibrant. There was even like stray dogs that were playing with each other. It was like everybody, the whole vibration was changing. And so then that's how I knew that chiropractic's bigger than just adjusting the atlas. Chiropractic's bigger than just, what people say that they're doing the low back adjustment. It's way bigger than that. It's an impact. It's a vibration. It's an energy that goes way beyond the table. And so that's whenever I started viewing chiropractic differently. Now I view it way more different now that I'm in the community and I'm adjusting people. Is like every person that walks into your door is a blessing and is not a coincidence at all. So never take it for granted. Even they're like, oh, I feel okay. Like, I just want to get a checkup. It's like, nobody just comes into your office all because they need a checkup. That's a divine intervention in my eyes. That's how I view it. And so I take it with that kind of, rapport. I'm like, yo, I know this is more than that. So we just got to figure out why you came into this office. And then, of course, end up being patients for months and months, because once they didn't know about chiropractic, and then now they know about true chiropractic, which is, like we talking about, it's more than just the actual adjustment. People are coming to you because of the energy that you have whenever you are doing the adjustment. It's and then the results, of course.
Man, that's awesome. That's inspiring. And you talked about the community that you saw in Haiti, and then you kind of started to hint to your community. So tell us a little bit what that was like, building this community from the ground up that you have right now. What was it like to get started, and kind of how did those, you talked about those natural referrals, but before there was anyone on those tables, how did you get people into the office, and what was that process like?
So that was a grind, and I'm pretty sure, that you can attest to it too. And many doctors who just starting out, it was, so being a business owner alone is already a stressor, because you got to make sure that you're compliant with all these files. You got to make sure you're doing this, you're doing that. You got to call. And in the beginning, you're calling for everything, like turn on the electricity. Like, I need the CEO, I need this, I need that. It's like a million different things that you're calling for. And on top of that, you already know that the next month rent is coming. So like, you got to figure out what you're going to do. And so I slept pretty much like 4 hours a week when they gave me the key, and then they gave me my CO, and they said I'm actually free to like bring patients in. I spent every day that weekend, I would wake up at 5 and I would go and do like a coffee with somebody. And if nobody could do coffee with me, I would just go into the coffee shop and just get coffee and just like look around and just stare at people until they make eye contact and be like, hey, saw you looking at me. Now I was looking at you. It doesn't matter. Hey, how's it going? And just like try to create energy and let people know that I'm there. I was going and I was in between. So I would open at 9 o'clock. And when I would go at 9 o'clock, I would have like 1 or 2 patients. And then I would just leave and I would just drive to every nearby business, and I'll just hand them a card, and I was just talking to them and trying to make a genuine connection with them. So I was doing that with every single person that I met. And then in my plaza where my clinic is actually located, I went to every single person. I'm like, hey, like, how's it going? My name's Dr. Maurice. I just opened up right here. And I was just trying to get to know what they did and see how can we be beneficial with each other. Instead of me just being like, hey, here's my card, come and get adjusted. It's like, hey, like, what do you do? And then how can we get what you do and I do make sense together, instead of just being a one-sided street. And so a lot of them appreciate that now. Like, this, at least my whole plaza, all of them come to me as patients. In the beginning, they didn't. They were just like, all right, I don't know what this guy's all about. He kind of startled me when he came in, because I was just very high energy, man. I'm like, and you know how it is when you first start, your energy's on go, and you're just like, man, like, it's time to make something happen. And so it was a lot of restless nights. So I would get off at 6, and then I would go and I would look for any networking event. I don't even care. I went to so many karaoke nights, and I don't even really even like singing like that, but I was just up there like, hey, just pick a song, because I wanted to be out and I wanted to see people, and I wanted to be able to let people feel like my intentions are pure, they're good. And yeah, man, I'm talking about probably get home at like 1 or 2, and then wake up the next day and then do it all over again. And I was just doing that. And what I was also doing is I was like, people, like the dude that would come and put up my sign. I'm like, you want to get adjusted? He's all like, oh, nah, bro, I'm just putting up the sign. But I would talk to him so much to the point where he's like, all right, let me just get adjusted, because at this point you're bugging me, And it's like, it's because of that hunger that I created an energy where people would come in. And a lot of times I gave stuff away for free, which many people try to say that, like, oh, don't give anything away for free. Like, you got to value it. And I get that, because I do value it. But also it's like, you're just starting, you want to be able to at least build some type of energy in your clinic where people actually come in and they can experience what you have to deliver. And so, yeah, a lot of times I was just trying to build the energy of the clinic. Like, man, I want, people to actually get adjusted and be able to feel it, because every adjustment reverbs, and all the cars that are passing by and they see your sign, eventually from all of that reverb, they're gonna finally be like, I don't know, there's something about that sign, there's something about that place. And what I'm just gonna swing by and just poke my head in. And I mean, we have about like 2 or 3 walk-ins a month, which isn't like a lot, but it's pretty good, just no appointment, no nothing. They just walk in, and so, and and most of the time it's either like a Google review, or a couple of them just said like, hey, we just drove past this so many times. We just want to check it out and see what it was about. Some of them schedule appointments, some of them don't. But it's the fact that they're coming in, and that's the most important thing, that door is opening and closing, and people are just interested, and people stopping by and dropping their business cards, and people coming by to see if they can provide a service to you. It cultivates something. And then the staff, they get, and then they feel more of the energy. They get more busy. They're moving their body more, because what it is that as humans, we're full of potential energy, and so and that's still energy that is high energy, that is ready to be used. But the only way that you can stimulate that energy is through a kinetic movement. So whenever you adjust somebody, that's kinetic. So that potential energy that's in somebody. So let's say they always had a dream to be a snowboarder, but they just never wanted to snowboard because they let that dream die. And they had a low back pain. And they're like, yo, I got low back pain. F snowboarding. Like, I'm just going to do my job and make sure I can manage this low back pain. Potential energy, very, very diminished in their body. And then you light up their sacrum, you activate that potential energy, and now it's kinetic energy. Now it's moving through their body. Now the low back pain is simmered down, and that dreams that they had of wanting to go out and, snowboard again reignites. And so then before you know it, halfway through their treatment plan, they're like, yo, doc, let me tell you, like, I snowboarded for the first time, and you're just like, what? Because it's something that was so far-fetched to them. But now it's possible, and I know Colton had a couple stories of like golfers and stuff too, but it's important to people to be able to like have a recreational activity to take their mind off of the daily stressors of life. They want to be able to have something that can separate them from all the stressors of everything they have going on. And so, yeah, I think that I answered that question. I don't know.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, so.
That was awesome, Maurice. So great. What a great answer.
Thank you.
Shoot, I feel like we could just listen to you like all day long.
Thank you. It's yeah, this is a beautiful thing, and Colton's a brother to me, and I'm very grateful how he came into my life too. And like he said, I do remember that moment very vividly. Whenever him and Grant was, I feel, bestowed upon me by one of my good friends, Stuart. And Stuart was one of the dudes that was like, yo, man, like, you gotta start practicing. And I was all like, what, bro? Like, we gotta study. And he's all like, all right. And so he introduced me more so to like actually getting hands-on. And so then whenever he told me, yo, he moved back to Iowa to go to Davenport, the founder head school. And he said, hey, man, one of my good friends is coming down there. I want you to look after him, make sure he's good, and like get him in the right crowd. And I'm all like, oh, who is it? And he told me it was Grant. He showed me a picture. And literally that day, I saw my orientation. I was like, you're coming with me. And Colton was one of his buddies. And I looked at Colton and I could see, that he had a light in him. But I could also see that he was just coming from like a transitional point from, another school coming to that school. So I could see that it wasn't ignited yet, but I could see his resonance, and I knew that he was special. And I was like, oh man, this is like exciting for two special people that are connected. Did you meet Grant at that orientation, Colton?
No, it wasn't even until like it was, how we go to the racetrack after orientation?
Yeah.
I was sitting alone at orientation. I made no friends at Power Weekend or orientation. I was like, man, I'm gonna be lonely during chiropractic school. And then I ended up meeting Grant that night, and so I just we hung out.
Yeah, and so that was my chance to meet Colton, and I was like, oh man, this is great to have two people that I can see the determination in them, and they look like the individuals that were going to go all in, and they're just right there. And I have this energy that I'm ready to admit and share with people, and they were just ready to like, hey, what is it that you have for us to be great? And they are the perfect examples of leaders in our chiropractic profession. Even though they just graduated, Colin just got out there, but he went out and just opened his practice just like that. And I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to be one of a chiropractor. He should be in a history book or something, because I know that he has all these great things to offer the world, and I've been adjusted by him too. And so I'm just grateful that you took that opportunity, you ran with it, and then you made it your own. And now you have this very special, distinct talent and art to offer the world. And I just know there's already people that you changed your lives, and more people to come for years and years and years. And it's just a blessing that you're also giving back with Dr. Nicole here, to just like give this back to the community, because I think that's a very special thing to talk about chiropractic more than, as you deliver it, that itself is communication. Like people, there's so many times a patient will be like, hey doc, is it like, do you get more energy from getting adjusted too? And I've never talked to them about getting more energy or anything from adjustments. And their innate intelligence starts downloading information to them. So then they start, hey, like, does this help with sinuses? Because my nose is clearing out, and they connect the dots without you saying anything. And so I don't really do much like chiropractic communication, but podcasts like this and it being saved and recorded and put out there as data and information of what we do is so important, because I know there is patients that are like my chiropractor, there's something magical about him, but like, what is it? And then to hear that information, to see how they break it down is, it's a very important thing. So I'm thankful that you asked me to be on here, and I'm grateful for Dr. Nicole taking your time out too as well to hear me talk a little bit.
Yeah, man.
Maurice, it was my pleasure. I mean, thank you so much for coming on. That was awesome.
Yes, yeah.
We really don't have much time left. If you had to give one quick piece of advice for someone getting ready to start their practice, what would it be?
Consistency. Just keep on going. Believe the same belief that you had that made you want to go out there and do it. Stay consistent to that belief, because things get shaky, things get rocky. That month might not be the best month. You might not break even that month, but you have to stay the course. You have to maintain, because God didn't bring you that far to let you down. So you have to have faith and trust that too. And so just stay consistent is my biggest thing.
That's a word.
Maurice has the best one-liners I think I've ever heard. God didn't bring you this far to let you down. Like, you're dropping one-liners. I'm like trying to with my pen. Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for hopping on today, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, bro. I'll talk to you soon. It's Nicole. It was nice to meet you too. I'd like to connect as well after this and just keep in touch.
Yeah, of course. We'll wrap up our podcast, but don't jump off yet. Just hang on for a second, okay?
Okay.
All right, everybody. That was freaking awesome. Colton, thank you for bringing Maurice on today. That was awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap up till next week. We love you. Many blessings.
Peace.
Peace.